everybody. Welcome, and my beautiful co-host, Kareen. Welcome, everybody. I'm happy to be here again with you as always. Now it's Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Half of May. Oh my goodness. We are progressing this year, right? You are watching Cosmic Guardians with hosts Anne and Kareen. And it's me, and Kareen is my beautiful co-host, all the way from Arizona, and I'm coming to you live from Sweden today. And good morning, Kareen. So happy to be here with you. How are you?
Another beautiful day. I mean, it's wonderful to be here, and welcome to everybody that's taking the time um, to listen in, because this is going to be a very, very emotional subject today.
It is going to be. It is going to be indeed. And we will talk about healing ourselves means healing the earth. We are all connected. So we usually we don't expand ourselves to come to that place when we acknowledge actually that we are part of the earth, or the earth is a part of us. You can express it back and forth, right?
Correct.
And we take your questions and we do mini readings for those who would like that. We intend to be live with you every week on Wednesdays, usually at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Central time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Sweden, and 8 p.m. Greece. And once in a while, we may actually come with a pre-recorded video. It have happened, but we try to be live with you as we are today. So join us. We are here. Last week, we talked about the art of self-love and self-acceptance, not taking things personally. Do you want to recap a little bit, Corinne?
Well, it's interesting that today is so much related to what we said last week, because when we learn to love ourselves and to let go of the things that are holding us back, our past, our perceptions of what we should and shouldn't be, then we have the opportunity to expand that into the everything around us. And today we're going to be touching on the fact that our emotions have such a vast impact on nature itself. And we think nature is just out there doing its thing, but we are part of that. So we contribute. Yes.
We do, and we are part of the system itself, right? We are.
Absolutely.
So if we are affected by the earth is affected by us.
Perfect point. That is what this is all about. Yes. You know, and
I'm going to crack a joke here. I'm always too fast. I'm kind of summoning things up in one sentence, right?
that's right.
But it's beautiful, and healing. When we think of healing, we usually come from the personal end of healing, right? And that is human. It's very, very natural. Um, but it's also because everything is connected. So how would you say that works?
Well, an interesting quote that I read from Thomas More, and he said, "Earth is not a platform for human life. It is a living being. We are not part of it. We are it in health and in our own health." Now, this was written by this man that lived hundreds and hundreds of years ago, before we even started understanding the real effect that we have on the earth. However, all the indigenous people around the world understood how important their emotions were with how the harvest was going to be, how heavy the storms were going to be. And we are so completely connected, we even look like nature. I mean, if you look at the brain cells and then you look at the universe, they look like exactly, you wouldn't be able to tell them. nebulas out there in space, look like our eyes. And trees have a breathing system. They're our lungs. They are the lungs of the earth. And we have the same system within our bodies. You can see how it's set up. So we are not just stuck here. We are part of here. And that's
Yeah.
very, very important. Yes.
It is very important, and it also is very important to remember because we are a part of the ecological system here, right?
Correct.
So we are a part of the chain. And what we are breathing out, that is very good for flowers and trees and nature,
Yes.
everything that's growing in nature, right?
Right.
Um, as well as nature creating oxygen that we need.
Yes, that's why they call the trees the lungs of the world. And every time we cut down a forest, we are taking away valuable oxygen from the atmosphere and changing it. And they keep blaming everything, but it's amazing how the earth functioned very well without us. So it's like, we need to regain that, because finding that our emotions actually affect things. This kind of study was going on a long time ago. If a person, they have a green thumb, all they have is beautiful energy and great vibrations. So everything around them flourishes. And then you get somebody with a negative attitude, and then everything just kind of goes, "Oop," So
Yeah. And you know, because we have a very modern society, sometimes we live in big cities very often. We need to make an effort to go out in nature. Um, so many other things, right? So it's like we disconnect a little bit sometimes. And I think we need to connect. That feeling when you go outside barefoot. Yeah, in Sweden, it's not possible in the wintertime, is it, right?
well, not the summertime in Arizona either. So
Because it's too hot. You can fry eggs on the asphalt, right?
seriously, and that's not a myth. That is not a myth.
No. And I think that nature itself and the earth itself has its cycles also. And I think that we need to take care of the earth, but it also, we tend to forget that it has its natural cycles, right? So it's
That's
nothing strange with that. We have had the ice time, we had different climates.
however, however, it took nature millions of years to create that change. Human beings in the last 75 years have literally made a complete change in the earth by adding the plastics and by adding all of this uh, drugs that are forever drugs. And literally, they're seeing changes in the rock formations from the plastic. They're seeing changes in the structure of how things are growing. So, in 75 years, mankind, who should have been the guardians, has just made it very difficult. And I like the way that you said going out and walking in the grass and getting grounding, because now people are understanding how valuable that is. They actually have a little mat that you can stand on that will help ground you, and
Oh,
and that literally will help take away the inflammation in the bodies. And it's very important. And one more thing that I want to add, and I'm so impressed with schools, particularly in your part of the country, where taking children outside in their school day is part of the school, and being in the dirt and being in the microisms, and that makes you actually healthy. And there was a teacher that is noticing in our schools, because we take them and sit them in a chair and then tell them don't move. Well, I mean, don't breathe is what that means to a child.
Yeah.
And he found that when they go out and have a day outside, that the children that they have on medicine for ADD and the troublemakers and everything else, these children then become the peacekeepers and the leaders, because
Oh,
we're meant to be in connection. And it's not that difficult, um, but it gets even a little hairier. So yeah,
yeah.
good
And
subject. It's
so many things are, I'm not going to talk much about it, but it, processed food. Now they are advertising, you can make veggie burgers. To be honest with you, if I'm going to eat vegetables, I can create them in any way I want, right? I don't
right.
need to buy processed things. And I think that we are, because of a lot of things and how we learn to live on the earth, we are getting away from very natural things,
Hmm.
right?
Very, very much so. And and how we treat ourselves is the way we treat others. Well, how we treat others is how we treat everything. And I was just speaking to a friend this morning when I went to Peru, and I was watching how, unfortunately, mostly Americans will go, and I'm riding the bus up ready for an experience. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know how profound or how insignificant or powerful, but I'm ready for the adventure. And they're sitting back there saying, well, Machu Picchu isn't as old as the pyramids, and I saw the pyramids 4 times, and and I actually touched this, and I'm going, would you please get off the bus? Because that negative energy, you're not going for the experience, you're not going for the beauty, you're not going for anything other than a stamp in your passport that you can go home and say, this is what I did. So
Yeah,
you've got to learn how to enjoy the moment. I mean,
yeah. And if you travel, for instance, you change environment totally. That's the greatest opportunity because you're going somewhere you don't have a schedule, you don't have a calendar, you don't have usually times that you need to do your routines, right? You are changing everything. That is the most wonderful way one can go and explore something, being in the now, right?
yes, being in the now and not being in the perception of what they think they should be doing in these places, and absorbing it and actually living it. I went there by myself without any tour, and to the horrific attitudes of my kids. Mom, you can't go by yourself. And I said, why not? And and it was beautiful because I was living the experience rather than enforcing my perception of what I wanted them to do. And it was a whole, you just gain so much more when you become part of it, you know.
Yes. And most people, they do express that they feel um, a different vibration when they step out in nature, right?
Hmm.
Um, when you really plant your feet there, you don't necessarily always need to be barefoot because sometimes if you're walking in the woods, maybe it's practical with boots or something, right?
Yes,
Or
yes.
sneakers. But it's a connection and you can feel it and you can sense it and you can even observe animals and
Hmm.
see how they are. I just have to say it. I have two small little squirrels running back and forth here. Um, it's so beautiful. I thought I had one, but I have two, and I feed them nuts and flower seeds and stuff of that nature. But they are wild, but they still come to my balcony on the sixth floor.
Hmm. Yes.
Part of nature coming.
I had an experience yesterday. Was out watering one of my plants, and it's a tree that forms little packets of seeds. And while I'm watering, all of a sudden I'm hearing pop, pop, and I realize that the seed is breaking open and dropping the actual seeds on the ground. And I'm going, I experienced that. I experienced the actual opening of those little shells because I was in the now. I was in the moment. I wasn't thinking,
Yes.
oh, got to finish this, then go do this and everything else. And this is just part of healing ourselves. And
It is a part of healing ourselves. And, nothing can be more beautiful because we are not separated. We are all together. We are exchanging the energy with everything here on this earth, right?
mhm.
Animals, nature, just about anything. And when you let yourself feel it in, of course, maybe if you try to feel in something, maybe if you are in a big city, maybe you're not going to feel, you're going to feel a lot of stress, a lot of other stuff, right? But that's also a key for us to take just a little bit of a time. And there are also spiritual methods if you can't go out to nature and hug a tree or something. But it is preferable to connect to Mother Earth. Do you
Mhm.
do something on a daily basis or regularly where you connect?
I do. I have basically turned my backyard into like a little Garden of Eden, and
Oh,
every morning as the sun comes up, I have this chair that's suspended. It kind of swings, and I sit out there, and that's where I do my attitude of gratitude. I start thanking everything. I even the grass that grows, and 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 the birds that are singing, because that allows me to have that connection, and it grounds me for the day. And I just have a great affinity to everything that has been given to us, and I appreciate it so much.
that is brilliant. And it is actually, and I love to connect with nature. I love doing garden work if I can. It doesn't mean that I have the strength of doing it for a long time, but it's nice being there. It's like, a little bit here, a little bit there, making chores, connecting with animals. And my favorite place to do that, of course, that's Greece, right?
Of course, yeah.
So it's different. I have something that I love to do on a regular basis, on a daily basis. It's for a city person who doesn't feel themselves always having the ability to step out in nature. Of course, that's easier now because we have it's almost summer here in Sweden, so it's okay. But it's more difficult maybe in the winter time when it's a lot of ice and snow. It's cold. But I love to call in all of my. I always say divine source, and I always say Yeshua. That's Jesus for me. I always called him Yeshua for some
Yes.
reason. But in my sense, that's his name, right? So, and the angels, ascended masters, and I have a long list that I actually invoke. And then I ground myself. I see myself having roots coming from my feet straight down into the Mother Earth. And my roots, for some reason, because roots usually don't, they are in the dirt, right? But mine have small little, like when the leaves are starting to come out.
Hmm.
So there are springing things from there. And I go straight down into the middle of Mother Earth. And then I also call in Archangel Michael to help me cut cords, and that I have a strong and clear connection with all of those who I did invoke, right?
Hmm.
So it is helpful because I feel that it's our intentions many times that's going to matter. Because if we do something on a regular basis, we don't need to do everything very, very long. And of course, now going outside, sitting on the grass, we have small beaches here. You can't compare them with Greece, obviously, right? But
Right.
we still have beaches. We have water. We have wonderful woods here. It almost feels like I don't know if you guys ever saw. I think he was a Danish artist, John Bauer.
Hmm.
He made pictures of trolls and elves and things of that nature, and also mystical woods.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how the woods look like here. But we're close to Denmark, so I guess it's kind of the same. But it's wonderful, and the green, the sounds, the smell. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yes. Well, interestingly enough, what we do to our external and what is external actually affects us. And one thing that I'm noticing, and this is kind of on a sober note, but I'm noticing that more and more people are being faced with catastrophic illnesses. It's like there is a cancer epidemic going on. And people that aren't smokers and people that aren't, in asbestos, they're just all of a sudden having cancer. And this is a sign that our society is having problems. And after all that we just went through over the last 3 years, the isolation and the fear and all of the negativity, it's physically attacking our bodies. And you can see the evidence of what's happening in the earth. But it's interesting because Louise Hayes says the way she describes cancer in her book, You Can Heal Yourself, is cancer is a deep hurt, a long standing resentment, a deep secret of grief that is eating away at ourselves. And she suggests that because of these things, this is what's happening to us, but this is what's happening to society itself. And she has an affirmation that says, I lovingly forgive and release all the past. There again, the past. And I choose to fill my world with joy. And I love and approve of myself. There again, self-love. And it's so all related. Um, I remember, well, I don't remember, but in the 40s, after the Depression, the whole country seemed to come down with polio. There was a polio epidemic. Polio is crippling. Our country was crippled, and you could start seeing how one affects the others, and it's something that we can make a change. We can, and
We
this
can
one,
make.
yes, a wonderful word, and I'm going to have my
Malorism.
Malorism,
Malorism.
Meiorisum. And it means the belief that we can change and improve the world through acts of love, compassion, creativity, and kindness. Isn't that amazing? They actually have a
That
word.
is amazing. Yes. Can you please say that again? Melorism?
Malorism.
Malorism.
Melorism. Okay.
Malorism. I had to practice it 3 or 4 times myself. But wouldn't it be wonderful if all the acts of love and kindness that people are already doing, more would be doing it? And it's so much easier to say a kind word than a negative word. And just feel the change when you walk into a place where everybody is joyful and happy, as opposed to when you walk into this, everybody's serious and, the end of the world is coming. And, you got to be that 2% that we're going to be
Yeah.
cured. We're going to be happy.
Yeah, and that there's a lot of people talking about this now and a lot of fear going on in this world. But I think that it's a good thing to have open ears, to observe, to listen, to be aware. But
Hmm.
also, when I'm aware, I can choose where am I putting my focus and attention.
And that's important. And
Yes,
and when you love yourself, you have so much love to give that you start focusing on the people and the things around you and start spreading that love. And if anything should be contagious, it should be love.
it is contagious.
It is.
Love and humor and fun,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important because um, it's very easy to, on a daily basis, in the stress of this world, right, to narrow ourselves and just go with all the duties, everything we must do, everything that we are told we have to, instead of just taking a moment like we used to be able more maybe in the old days. Now I sound 100 years old.
I know.
But I do remember, we had regular phones. If my friends couldn't reach me, they called the next day or the day after. There was no panic.
Hmm.
We didn't have so many channels on the TV. We had time for other things. For instance, as families, we could sit and have dinner together, talking about the day. Or instead of watching TV, we could play games together, being present with each other. You
Hmm.
know, not only I love today because we have technology, and this is why we can do what we do. But I think we should think to not be slaves under the technology, use it to our advantage. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's a tool. It's like you wouldn't carry a hammer around all the time trying to sing a song, unless you were singing about a
No,
hammer. But you have tools for different things, and not to let them become power over you. They make you powerful, but they are not your power. And and speaking of technology and how it has really helped a lot, uh, bringing our thought pattern into the scientific world. And I really, really, really like what they're doing at the Heart Math Institute. It's located in California. And they have dedicated their lives to bringing scientists from all fields there to technically prove what we're talking about. How do we affect each other? How do we affect the world? And it's interesting because just before the year changed to 2000, there was so much fear. Oh, everything's going to fall apart. The grid is going to come down. Da, 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 da. And for the first time, the entire world was having the same emotion. So, what they did is they set up monitors all around the world to measure the effect of the human consciousness. That's what they were trying to see if they could measure that and see if it would affect these machines. So each time the time wave came for it to change, all these machines were just going crazy. And then, of course, nothing happened, but it happened with all of these machines. And interestingly enough, they were left up. And prior to 9/11, 3 days before 9/11, the machines started registering there. It's like what you have when you measure an earthquake. They started going crazy and they couldn't figure out why, because nothing was happening where the machines were to make them do this. And it just moved across the world. And then 9/11 happened. So somewhere our consciousness was together as a mass consciousness and sending this fear out.
yeah,
So if we can do that, we can send the love out.
We can absolutely send the love out, and I think that is the mastery of self,
That's right.
to monitor what am I sending out, what am I vibrating out to the world, right? Because it is really important indeed. It's very important. And even people who claim that they don't believe in the ways or the way of life or what we are talking about, but everything is energy, and they can state that, but they don't say they don't really believe how it functions, right? But if you put a person somewhere with their back towards you, and maybe they think you're not there, and you bring someone else, or you start staring at them yourself without them knowing, maybe they are thinking you're doing something else, right? They can feel it, and that
Absolutely.
says a lot. It's about the energy. We are picking up the energy, and when we are picking up the energy, we can feel very, very uncomfortable, because if it's fear-based, we're picking up, right? But how
Mhm.
can we transcend that? How can we transform it? How can we make it, even as one person? We can.
And that's where self-love and self-mastery comes in. When we are able to heal our past and our perceptions of what it is that we want to project, then that will change how we react when we see situations, and that makes a difference. For instance, I have a friend that is just discovered that he has stage 4 pancreatitis, liver, and stomach cancer.
Oh,
Whoa! Now they give you statistics. Well, there's only about 2% of the people that survive this. Well, hey, sign me up. I'll be in that 2%. There again, it's how you're going to think about this. When I had melanoma when I was in my 30s, and I had it out, asked the doctor if he got it out. I said, fine, thank you. And then many years later, I had someone say, well, do you get checked all the time? I said, no, I tried it. I didn't like it, and I'm not going to do it again. So there again, this is where perception comes in. Are you going
yeah.
to respond to the fear, or are you going to respond to, hey, listen, I vote for the 2%ers? So we can change it. We can change um, the smile that you give somebody that brightens their day, the
Yeah.
the, the kindness that you show someone just by saying thank you. When I see people cleaning bathrooms, I always thank them, and they're so surprised because most people don't even see them. But that person, that's going to make that person's day a little bit better. And that
It's
person is going to make the next person's.
exactly. And you know what? You know what I say? And everything, every type of work we have to help society function is needed, is equal.
Yes,
It is equal, because if someone is not going to come here for a couple of weeks and picking up the garbage, it's going to be a mess.
it's going to be a mess.
Or someone not cleaning the toilets. How's that going to be?
Yes. And just taking the moment to say thank you. It you could see the change on a person's face. They saw me. I'm not invisible. And that makes their job a little bit easier. And the Buddhists, everything you do, if you do it in joy and in the moment, when you're washing the dish, and you put your energy into that, it's like when I was watering the yard. I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do next. Had I been, I would have missed hearing that little pop and seeing the seeds fall.
Yeah.
to me, that was as if I had seen some. Well, it was something I had never seen before. So it was a moment that was given to me, and I had the wherewithal to see that moment and bless that moment. And yeah, it's fun being here.
It is fun being here, and I think that there are so many more things to appreciate when we find ourselves in a place where we feel stuck. And a lot of people do actually ask, "Why am I stuck? Why can't I move forward?" Because we always think about the past. Could I have made a different choice? Would I have been somewhere else now? Could I have changed something? And we're thinking about the future. Oh, I don't know what we can choose now. Maybe I make the wrong choice, right? But that is worry. So when you find yourself, when you feel stuck like that, the best you could actually do is just stay in the moment, because there's a whole lot of people who don't stay in the moment because they fear, if I have a look, really deep look, and I just be here and now, that's going to last forever. And I'm not going to be able ever to get out of that state or vibration or whatever it is. But it's actually the opposite, right? So
Yeah,
when we take a look and we stay in the moment, we no matter how challenging things look, there's always something to feel gratitude for. And I think that is important too, right?
very much attitude of gratitude, and I find that it helps me to daily just have that moment when I can just say thank you for everything, and and being in that moment of really appreciating everything that I do have. I mean, even if it's just my comfortable bed that I slept in, or that I was able to take a shower this morning. These are things that we just take for granted. And when you take that moment, they become precious. They
Yeah,
do.
they do become precious.
Yeah.
And there are so many things to be grateful for. And going back to nature, yes, if you just stay somewhere or you sit somewhere and you observe nature, it's absolutely fantastic. And everything, the best of all, everything has its function. Everything is a chain to something else, right?
Yes. Because we all live in harmony. If you were to look underneath the ground and see all the roots of the trees and how they come together, they actually communicate. They're actually proving now that the roots will communicate and say, okay, well, it's dangerous there, so we're going to go this way. And the microisms that are under the earth that are I can't even talk, nurturing the earth, uh, those are vital to our existence too. That's why if you can get your hands in the dirt every now and then. In the dark
Yeah.
ages, when I grew up, we were told to go out and play. And I mean, that meant making mud pies and getting in the dirt and rolling in the grass. And because of that, our immune systems are a lot healthier than the ones now that are, oh, I'm going to wash my hands, and, sanitize that. And it's, so we're the ones that survive because we have a stronger immune system, because we got dirty.
Exactly. I have another memory. I went to a small castle here in Stockholm, 2005, I think. There was a gathering. I don't even remember the name of the gathering, a spiritual gathering. And they were talking about something, making connections, talking about spiritual things. And one afternoon, we went outside in the garden and they made the most fabulous food. They had fresh herbs and flowers in the food.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are so many things we can eat that we don't know today. And I'm not really good at those different kinds. I know they are in Greece. So I'm trying to learn if I can, because they collect herbs. But anyway, coming back to Sweden, um, I don't remember the name of this guy, a Japanese guy. I think everybody knows who he is. He took pictures of water crystals,
Oh,
right?
yes. What a,
Yes,
oh, marvelous. Yes.
yes. And we had 2 glasses of water. I think we were maybe 15 people, plus minus, right? And we blessed in our own way, but everybody in the circle, we were standing in a circle, blessed 1 glass of water and the other not. You could taste, I promise you, you could taste the difference.
Yes. Water is,
So, yeah, sorry, no, go ahead.
no, finish your thought, please.
So we are contained by, I don't know how many percent, I think it's more than 90% water,
Mhm.
liquid in our body.
Yes.
That says a whole lot. Yes, please.
So therefore, the emotions that we feel are going to affect our body. And
Yes,
this is what I say about technology. It's taking things that the indigenous people knew and just followed because they had that insight. And then we got away from it. And now science is saying, hey, wake up. This is real. And it really does make a change. And water will change when you put that love around it, as
yes,
it will if you put the negative around it. And they showed how everything's just all discombobulated. So yeah.
yes, as will we. So if I'm talking negatively to myself on a regular basis, that's going to affect me.
More
I'm
than
not blessing
anything
myself,
else,
right?
more than anything
Yes,
else,
yeah,
because it's you speaking to you.
yeah,
And in the 4 agreements, that is the first agreement: be impeccable with your speech, meaning first speak kindly to yourself. This morning, when I did my hair, it decided it was going to do it the way it wanted to do it. And rather than saying, oh, this is terrible, I said, okay, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, we'll get along together. But rather than condemning myself because it wasn't what I thought it should be, and enjoying the fact that it was there, makes a whole difference. So what you say to yourself, your self-talk, is you talking to the universe. So it's not like,
yes.
you have to be really, really, really kind when you talk to yourself.
Yes, really. And plus the way I'm talking to myself, that's going to be a guideline for someone else talking to me. I'm setting the guidelines, what I do accept or acknowledge or say yes to, right? So when we have a good vibration in here, and we can accept ourselves, and we do have flaws, right? But we need to love even our flaws. We are here as human beings right now, even if we are very old souls and we have a lot of knowledge and everything. But right now we are here walking this earth, Mother Earth, which we are connected with, and trying to do our best. So loving and accepting yourself, that's going to give off a vibration, because if you don't love yourself, how could you love someone else, or showing them love, or showing love to Mother Earth?
That's absolutely true. I love the way that the Japanese honor and respect something that has been damaged. Instead of picking it up and throwing it away, they'll actually take gold and fill in the cracks. And they revere the tree that maybe had something that you couldn't cut it down to use it for this particular wood. So it kept growing and it's all gnarled and up here. But it has all the character, and they appreciate the fact that it has something of beauty to give to us. So our imperfections are actually our best assets because they give us the character. They give us the dynamic. There again, having My eye teeth getting in the way of me speaking. Um, but it gives us the depth and the character. And that's what it's all about, is taking all of these beautiful imperfections and then turning them into something that is beautiful to share with the rest of the world.
Yeah. And I think something else also, um, because we have flaws as human beings, we're going to make mistakes, but that's okay as long as we come to awareness and learn from it, right? We don't need to punish ourselves for it forever and ever. So, forgiveness, I think forgiveness for oneself, but also for others, even if they don't want to talk to us anymore, that can happen, right? It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or the other person is a bad person. Maybe we can't find it, or maybe I want to forgive, but the other person don't want to see me, or they are trying in a different manner. But sometimes it also means that sometimes maybe we are releasing each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other times we can move along together. It doesn't mean that we need to hold on to that anger or grudge or resentment or irritation or whatever, and being hard to someone else or ourselves, so we can release and forgive, because I think forgiveness is very, very important. it's it's about clearing energy, it's about releasing the energy, but we need to come to that place also when we are not going to keep on nagging about it, because that means we didn't release it, we are holding on to it, right? So it's a part of self-love, it's a part of healing, and also that healing is never a quick fix. So if I try to do something, I make changes, and I don't see results in a week, it doesn't mean I'm going to fail, right?
Correct. And we seem to be the only species that keeps punishing ourselves for something that happened a long time ago. I mean, in the animal world, if they screw up, they get hurt, and then they get over it, and then they go on. Now they maybe remember, okay, don't go over there because I'm going to get a sticker or something, but they don't. They go, oh, that was terrible. I didn't do this right. We're the only species that keeps remembering and keeps punishing ourselves for something we did rather than moving on. And in Hawaii, they have this beautiful ceremony called Ho'oponopono.
Oh, I
And
love that.
isn't that beautiful? And it literally is the act of finding a common ground. It doesn't mean one person's right and the other person's wrong, but how do we find a way that we can bring harmony back into the situation? Because they understood that even humans have an effect on the weather. Uh, and in order to have the kind of weather that was going to be calm, yes, it gets pretty wild out there, but not destructive. And if they can have Ho'oponopono in the tribe and in the group, then there's going to be harmony, and it's going to be easier to be with each other. And speaking of storms, wouldn't it be wonderful if, when they were talking about the hurricane that's coming, instead of saying, "Oh, it's going to be a this, and we're expecting that, and this is going to happen," instead of saying, "Well, another opportunity to bring rain and nourishment to the country," and start thinking of it as a friend, bringing in what it needs rather than it's going to be this destructive, horrible thing.
Yeah.
Because we can change how we perceive this, which will change the energy, which will change the frequency. And Joe Dispenza has written many books on changing your mind. And when you
Yeah.
change your mind, you change the chemicals in your body. When you change the chemicals in your body, you change the outcome. So why can't we be those people?
Exactly. And I'm born in a very cold country, right? Sweden. Long winters, minus 20 in Stockholm, even minus 25.
Oh,
In north of Sweden, it's going to be even colder, right? I can't say that I really, it's my favorite weather. But I also know that because it's a part of the system here, so we need it. We need all those seasons, right? And it's also very rainy during summertime. And when I was younger, I used to complain a lot about the rain. And then I spent a lot of time because I lived full time 10 years in Greece, right? In Rhodes. It doesn't rain in 4 months, sometimes even 5.
yep.
And I started to appreciate rain because I was longing for the rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back here at the airport and I caught a cab and I said, "Oh, it's raining. I love rain. I haven't seen rain for 4 months." And he said, "Shh, don't say anything. It had been raining all summer here." So, it's also about, what we think. But, it doesn't really matter. We can go out dancing and singing in the rain. I'm like kind of that crazy person. I could do that.
And there's a beautiful word for that, but I don't have it written down, so I don't have it to memory. But it means people that get joy from the rain. And living in the desert, of course, every time it rains, you can tell in Arizona because they go out and go, "Oh, what is that?" That literally happened. I was in a department store, and it had started raining while this person was in the store, and he comes out and he goes, "What is that?" And we look at each other and go, "Well, he must be an Arizonan because this is called rain." And we go along with our hands out the window and, and smelling it. So yes, but you have to appreciate each
Yeah.
each climate because your rain brings you those mystical forests that we don't have, and that
Yeah.
green that I long to see. And when I see something green, I'll stand there pointing at it. It's green.
Yeah, of
It's
course. It's going to
it,
be amazing.
it's not greenish gray like our green is. So yeah.
No, I fully understand. And, I think it's a good thing to go to different places and see different things because we are actually having to open up our minds. We
Yeah.
see things very differently. And, when it's raining in Greece, it usually means, not always, but that it's like heaven is opening up. My great grandmother used to say that when it was raining, that's the angel sitting on a cloud peeing. I'm sorry. I just had
Well,
to say that.
that's a good one.
That's so funny.
You know, you know, anytime in the desert, you're welcome.
You never heard that, did you? No?
No, I hadn't heard that one. I'd heard that the thunder comes because they're up there bowling, but and we get some really horrific thunderstorms here because of our climate. And I remember one time I was explaining to my little granddaughter, she was probably about 4, and every time that it thundered, and she would cling to me, and I said, "Oh, well, that's okay because it's just talking to us." And I didn't realize my son was on the other side of the house, and there was a clasp of thunder of lightning actually, and it was so close that the house shook. And I'm
Oh,
telling my little granddaughter how wonderful it is, and my son comes running around and runs into the house, and I'm going, okay. That does happen occasionally, but there again, understanding that nature is a force, and living with it instead of living against it. So that's what it's
exactly.
really
And
about.
nature is a strong force.
It
There
is.
are occasions we can't fight nature.
And in those cases, then we have to surrender and realize that this too will pass. Just like
Exactly.
when our life comes in, and then it just implodes around us, and you think, I don't think another horrible thing could happen to make this any worse, and it does. And you just go, okay, well, that's what it is right now, but it will pass.
Yeah, it will pass. And yeah, there are many things coming along, but I like also to listen to Greg Braden actually. Love
Oh,
his, he's a scientist also, so he has everything kind of combination of everything in one piece. Um, and there are so many, like you mentioned, Louise Hay, Joe Dispenza, a lot of them. But Greg Braden talked about the climate and also about the changes. And yeah, there are things we are doing that are not very good for the last maybe 75 years, as you said, or 100 years. But I think that we can still think natural. And natural in this case, what am I going to make for myself to eat? Am I going to buy ready stuff that are already, I mean, processed things? Or am I going to feed myself, my body, which is a part of Mother Earth, right? And connected with everything else? Am I going to feed it with um, as pure food as I can? It doesn't mean that we can't. I'm not a very big fan of diets, actually. I think that we are eating different things because we need them, right? But that's my personal opinion. But I think um, making your own food, back to basics, right?
mhm. Interestingly enough, because there was this little excerpt that said, it's the little things that we each do, just by not overusing the things that we do have. But they figured out that if people started now in my part of the world, you hang your stuff on the line and it's dry in 5.5 seconds. So
Okay.
it makes sense. But if people were hanging their clothes like we used to, it would save like 300,000 tons of coal a year, like a month. If we and so much in electricity that if we stopped using the dryer and we were hanging our clothes, and clothespins only cost you a little bit and a little cord to tie them on, and now they have metal clothespins so they'll survive in the Arizona sun. So, but little things like that it doesn't take much, but each person just doing a little bit
Yeah.
really does make a difference. And just
I, I
doing
have
a little
I
bit.
have to be honest with you. Sorry, it's just too fun for me because in Greece, because it's a warm climate, and I think it's very close to in Rhodes,
Yeah,
southern part of Greece, it's very close to Arizona.
yeah.
They don't necessarily know what a dryer is. They are hanging
Always
their
you got the clothes
yes,
hanging, flapping in
yes,
the wind. Yeah.
yeah,
And they smell so fresh when you take them out,
yeah.
and yeah, and we forget those things. Um, and it doesn't really, there again, if you put the joy into it and use it when you have to, but just little things. And there are many, many, many beautiful young souls that are coming up ways to get the plastic out of the sea and everything. We need to support them instead of the big companies that try to put them down,
Yeah.
because those little efforts are that's touching the earth, and she
It
remembers that.
is because if we are polluting the ocean with plastics and other things, right? That's horrible. And I don't know how much of the oceans actually who that are explored that they actually know. I think it's just a small part of the oceans. They don't
Well,
really know. They haven't explored it thoroughly.
well, let's keep the explorers out so they don't pollute that part.
Yeah, maybe you're right, but it would be nice to, one day knowing what is really down there.
Oh, there is so much that we don't know. And that's the same way with what we don't know about what we are capable of. And we have that 90% of our brain that we're really not utilizing. And it's not the brain itself, it's moving into the void. It's moving into that place where all things are possible. And we will not need to have computers because we will have telepathy. We will not need to force something to happen because we will know how to move the energy to make it happen. So we won't have to start continually taking away from other things. We will find a way to do this without bringing in the destruction. And this is where we're moving into. But it comes with loving yourself, mastering yourself, having the right perceptions to be able to master yourself. It's all about what we are capable of as human beings instead of depending on other things.
Yeah. And we don't use more than just a fraction of our abilities
That's right.
because we need to search for them. We need to dig within. That's how expansion is coming. It sounds opposite, right? But it is in here
Yes.
for us to come out.
Yes. Just getting back to the basic, the basics. And I'm telling you, when you have real love for yourself, you kind of live in this blissful, joyous place. And things happen and stuff can be messy, but there again, you don't take it to heart. You don't uh, it's not going to disrupt your peace to be in that. And uh, and it's not ignorance either. It's not ignoring
No,
what
it's not
is
ignoring.
happening. It's there again, being in that 2% that sees, well, out of this, there's going to be something great. And I have to tell you one more little story real quick. There was this little girl who always was wishing for a pony. And she wanted a pony for her birthday so badly. And she knew that there was going to be a pony at her house, even though it was a suburban house. Well, during the night, people that were delivering fertilizer got the wrong address and dumped all of this manure in their front yard. Well, the little girl comes out in her party dress and she is so happy and she just starts digging into the manure. And the father comes out and says, "What are you doing?" She says, "Well, I know there's got to be a pony in there somewhere." So, you got to find that pony.
And it is also it's way easier than it sounds sometimes, and we complicate things as human beings, and I think we
Yes.
do because we come from different experiences. We have been taught certain things. We are supposed to go with the logic over anything else, and we need all our senses here, but we are not to let the logic take up 95% of all the space and only 5% for the other things, right? So we need balance.
That's
with
right.
all our senses, and not being afraid of searching and finding answers that resonates with you and may actually not be very, very common, but it's going to lead somewhere. And it's a difference between strong earthly opinions and being open-minded and receiving things, because you're not stuck in something. You don't really frame yourself within a certain thing. You find something, you go with that, you take it on, but then you are still open-minded because there's more to find. There's always more to find, right?
Yeah. And live in the awe of the moment. Live in the expectations that something new is going to come into your experience at that time. And when you are open to it, little seeds pop open and go, pop, right where you can hear
Yeah.
them. You know?
Yeah, and when you have the courage to follow your guidance, you are listening within, and it's your higher self, and sometimes angels, guides, source, whatever is out there, right? And it's not actually looking as we are thinking most of the time, because we are also uh, we have a built-in perception how it should be. So we need to step outside of those things to find things. But it all starts within here. It all starts with love. And if one person can change their vibration, that's going to be like ripples on water, right?
Mhm.
It's spreading. It's beautiful.
It is. It is.
It's wondrous and miraculous.
Well, I think we have given people something to think about, uh, in as much as when you start to react to something, consider all the other aspects of what your reaction is going to have, and take responsibility for that vibration that you are deciding and choosing to send out, and thinking before you open your mouth, because the words can either inspire or tear down. So be
Yeah.
the one that inspires.
I have one last story too, and this is a funny one. You got to laugh with me again. I worked for a few years at a train station selling tickets, right? And you meet a whole bunch of people on a daily basis. Someone didn't get their candy from an automated machine. We didn't have anything to do with it, so I couldn't help the person, right? And he came to me and he wanted the money, and I said I can't help you, but I've written down the number so I can give you if you don't have something to write on or anything. But you can connect with the company and they will refund you. You just tell them what happened. And he started off telling me a lot of ugly things, right? And he ended with, "You who are so ugly." And I said, "Thank you. I'm in good company." And I was thinking it's nice to be stubborn sometimes. I'm not letting you lower my vibration. I'm not doing it.
See, and that's where it is. You're choosing to stay in your personal power, and
Yes.
they're entitled to their own outburst, but it doesn't have to take away from you. And
No.
you don't have to go away thinking, "Oh, well, I didn't do what I should do," and everything. Yes, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
Oh,
And that became a funny story for me.
yes, well, it's a good one. And
Yeah, it is a good one.
bless our tenacity and our stubbornness, because
Yes.
that kind of gets us through sometimes when there's nothing else hanging around.
And I think that way I got a lot of those things from my grandmother. She was a redhead with a lot of temper, wonderful woman, very strong. She could talk.
Oh, yeah.
So we can learn things, but I think that's a blessing actually. I'm happy for my ancestors giving me those abilities
Yes.
sometimes. It almost feels like she's coming through and she's saying it sometimes.
Oh,
I love
yes.
it. Oh yes.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, do you feel is there anything else you want to add today?
Well, I think we have touched on a lot of different things, and it all comes back to, what are you going to be? How are you going to present yourself to the world? Are you going to be that authentic person that is in awe and has respect for the things around you, and really wants to be a part of all of this beautiful creation? Or do you just want to be a stick that's going around, getting in everybody's way?
Exactly. And self-love also gives someone confidence, more confidence. And everybody's worthy of it. There's no one who is not worthy.
That's
No
right.
one. Even the guy who said that to me, right?
Yes, I mean, he had his place. He gave you an opportunity to stand up for yourself. So he did. He
Yeah.
did. He played his role well.
Yes. Oh, that was funny. So yeah. So are we wrapping up then?
Yes, ma'am. I think otherwise
Sorry.
we may be here until tomorrow. So um,
I know we will. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We have some pollen here. Um, that's what we are dealing with here. But anyway, thank you, everyone. And thank you, my beautiful co-host, Corinne. You are my wonder from the cosmos. You have been watching Cosmic Guardians and with me and Corinne, and we talked about healing ourselves means healing the earth. We have been a little bit like always all over the place, but I think everything is connected anyway. We are all connected. We are going to be on live again next Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, and we are going to bring on a special guest, Adelina, all the way from Sweden, discussing a personal spiritual journey and the art of positive thinking, plus your questions and mini readings live on air if you want to. And today we didn't have anyone asking anything, but feel free. Don't be shy, guys. Come on. And I know Adelina from I think 2000, so it's many years for me. So we don't talk every day. It's like periods of time. It's kind of intense, but she's a very spiritual, deeply spiritual person, and she has a wonderful journey to tell you guys. You can follow our Facebook page at facebook.com/Cosmic Guardians, and you can follow the group and join the group Cosmic Guardians at facebook.com/groups/Cosmic Guardians. So thank you for watching Cosmic Guardians and see you next week. And I say love, light, peace, and joy.
and I say it's love, life, laughter. And
Oh, how
there we
wonderful.
go.
There we go.
Mhm.
Sorry, this is me. I'm going to, here we have the outro. So bye.
Bye bye.